What is going on, everybody? It is episode 138 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Please introduce yourself.
What is up, crisis actors? It's Mary.
Fighting off the negative opinions of your hot take yesterday, you are. Still, to this day.
Yeah, bravely fighting.
Like this.
I'm on the front lines because I have to read the super chats. It's not easy out here.
She has a very tough job, ladies and gentlemen. And we have a guest host today.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself, sir.
Well, hi, everyone. Ian Crossland here, IanCrossland.net, co-host of Timcast IRL. What's happening?
How you doing today?
Good, man. Thanks for asking.
We've been kind of rotating people around on Fridays now and get some varying perspectives. And Hannah Claire also needs a day off every once in a while, so she doesn't have to do 2 days every once in a while. And then we had her do the movie review. I forced her to watch another sequel. She hates sequels, and every time we go to a movie, it's summer, so everything's like a reboot, a sequel, or some type of studio film. So she's like, I have to go see another reboot, or I have to see another sequel. And she was going on today about how this one was not as good as Top Gun Maverick, but we went and saw Jurassic World Dominion.
Wasn't that bad?
No,
considering.
No. But we torture Hannah Claire with the sequels and stuff like that. So Ian steps in every once in a while to
when
clean up.
She needs a mental health day.
We're basically causing her anxiety.
Yeah, the Jurassic Park sequels will do that.
Have you seen
No, I read the book, the first book. In
Michael Crichton book.
It was like in 1992 or something. I read that book, and it changed my life. I was like 11 or 12 years old. Man, visceral when you see Dennis Nedry get eviscerated, or you reading about it from his perspective of when he's blind and his intestines are like. That was amazing. And then I saw the movie. The movie was okay compared to the book. They didn't have they had like an enclosure in the book where all the dinosaurs, the flying dinosaurs, lived, and they didn't have that in the movie. That was disappointing.
But if you actually go back and rewatch it now, and you realize how much they accomplished visually without the computer-generated imagery that they use today, it's actually kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah, and Jeff Goldblum was spectacular. I don't know if he's still in the.
He was in the most recent one. He showed up in the most recent one, and he was definitely. He was actually, now that I think about it, less Jeff Goldblum-esque than usual, meaning like less stuttering and less like gotta go. He was actually talking in full sentences. He still had that kind of Jeff Goldblum air about his dialogue.
He's a little quirked up.
Yeah, like where he's like you're carrying a dinosaur on your back. Yeah, like it was very Jeff Goldblum-esque, but not the same way it is like when he was in like Independence Day, which is my personal favorite.
Great movie.
It's a fantastic
all-star cast.
Oh yeah, like I was talking to someone the other day because I was watching Bill Pullman. His son is an actor now, and I think he was in Top Gun Maverick in like a less important role. I could be misremembering that, but it was a movie that came out recently. I said Bill Pullman gave the greatest presidential speech of all time.
Yeah, I still get goosebumps when I watch that movie.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's something
Thank
wrong with
you.
me or what.
It's and as well it should. Did it freak you out a little bit there?
I knew it was going to happen, and yes, it did.
gosh.
It still did.
Yes. So it's like that speech in that movie still to this day gives me goosebumps when I watch it.
I wonder if is that like American propaganda? That's just human propaganda, I think, at that point.
At that point
But
but
we're working with the Chinese to stop this alien threat. And you're like, yes.
In the honest trailer for that movie, they talk about how like where it's a movie where because it's the 4th of July, only America can save the world, and it's like everybody else is like sitting around like it's like a bunch of like Australian people, and they're like, it's the Americans. Yeah. They want to launch a counteroffensive, and the guy's like, well, it's about bloody time.
And they're like tweeting it out. We figured out a weakness, but it's on Twitter. So,
yeah, that's what it would be now.
Yeah,
and if you have not seen Independence Day Resurgence, you have the right idea. Do not go see the sequel. It is really, really, really bad. So that is my mini review for today. Don't go see Independence Day Resurgence, which came out 5 years ago or 7 years ago. So we got a bunch of stuff to talk about.
Real quick question before we start. How bad does a movie on a scale from 1 to 10 have to be for you to tell people not to see it?
Pretty bad. Pretty bad.
Like a 3?
I already think you're too forgiving of movies.
I am very especially with the summer blockbuster type stuff where it's not really supposed to make a ton of sense and you're just supposed to go and have a good time. I give a lot less leeway, and I'm a lot less charitable to television shows because I feel like the art form allows you more time to slow brew and build a great story, and when they don't do that, I'm far less forgiving. Whereas movies, especially given if you know your target audience, one of the biggest things that movies have to do is know who you're trying to appeal to. And the average summer blockbuster isn't going for, film school nerds or people looking for a great story. They're people that want to take their kids and get them out of the house for 2.5 hours and enjoy some time at the theater. For that, I don't think it needs to be the most riveting or beautifully tightly written script of all time. I think it just needs to entertain you. So it's all about knowing your audiences, and depending on the genre, I'll give a lot more or less leeway. So movies like that, I definitely give them more leeway. So if I think that movie's bad, it's bad. So
before we start, I just want to read the first super chat from Colt Seaman. He said, finally catching a show live. Also glad to see Ian. He is always mine and my dad's favorite on Timcast. Love ya, man.
Oh, holler, Colt.
We're now
What's
a quarter
happening?
of the way to pop culture crisis party.
Which they will see once we get into full screen mode. They can't see it yet.
We have an early start.
We do. So please. So we're going to talk about Amber Heard. We're going to talk about how the fact that she's still going to end up winning, or so it seems, given this article from Comic Book News. Thank you. And then we're also going to talk about more developments in the Ezra Miller situation, which for me started off as just making me sad and depressed. But now I am starting to get annoyed and angry because the Hollywood people are just awful. We're going to talk about Britney Spears' wedding getting crashed by her ex, who I had no recollection of. The only person I remember from Britney Spears' childhood or like from her early years getting married was Kevin Federline. And,
I knew she had 2 marriages. I just didn't know that the first one lasted 48 hours.
Okay.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's very early 2000s.
It's very didn't Kim Kardashian kind of copy her by having a 72-day long marriage?
Perfect. That's very celebrity.
Who was that to? Or do you remember off the top of your head?
Oh, God.
I don't remember who that was, too. So we're going to talk about that in the video. So we've got videos from that. We've got videos from the Ezra Miller topic. Then we got Podluck. We got a bunch of other stuff. So if you guys are ready, we'll just get into it. Are you ready?
We're ready.
You ready?
I am. I think it was producer Damon, 51.
Okay.
Age 51, January 2000.
Long time ago.
She was 19. He was 51.
What?
No
That
way.
can't be right. No,
That is not
that
it.
can't be
I'm
right.
reading this wrong. Fake news.
Don't.
way.
We'll have to
She
check
met
back
him when
on
she
that.
was 19 in 1998. They married when she was 41.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if these numbers are right.
Wait, what?
No, she couldn't have been
41 right now.
Yeah, he must have
what
been.
it is.
Maybe he was 41.
He's 51.
Chris Humphries was... Wait.
It's just a poorly written article. They're giving numbers and ages from all over the place.
Then we will hold them responsible for that. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to talk about Amber Heard sees increased Aquaman 2 screen time in test screenings. And Mary would tell you that this is a good idea, given the high profile.
Right, I was saying I would be more likely to go see Aquaman 2 just because of the spectacle of getting to see her act like someone she's not.
And I guess like
see her play someone in a loving relationship. I don't know, it'd be interesting.
Yeah, like
I want to know how good she is at acting because I never saw Rum Diaries.
She's
I mean, she doesn't have to be good. She's good looking, so she's kind of been coasting on that for a while.
She will have till her early 30s or till how old is she now? Does anybody
she's
know?
already in her late 30s.
Not late 30s.
She's 36.
Okay, so she's a little bit older than me. Okay, well she's still good looking. She's still very good looking. So it says, sorry, Johnny Depp fans. Those rumors Amber Heard has been cut from Aquaman 2 may be totally off. Again, this is rumor, so always remember that. A lot of people get mad when you cover this type of stuff because rumors to me are interesting because it's always funny to see which ones end up being accurate, which ones don't.
Well, there are like Twitter accounts that specialize in just dropping like fake DMs that they're apparently in with executives that it's just entirely fake.
And some people like Midnight's Edge on YouTube got like all of Rise of Skywalker right. Like some of them have really good track records, but not everyone.
It's possible that they're kind of doing like a test screening type focus group thing where they'll release some information that they may or may not end up going with just to see if the crowd likes it. And if they do, then they'll go with it. If they don't, then they'll say, hey, we never meant it. We never were serious about it to begin with. And
it could be one of many test screenings where they one run with more of her, one with less of her, and they see which one. That's the whole point of the focus group, of the concept of that segment of the industry, right? Is to see which one tests the best. A lot of the best movies in history have been tested and changed heavily through the test screening process.
Yeah, the cutting room floor, they call it.
Yep.
At some point, if you cut down her screen time to too little, then it makes even less sense than the original plan. So
I think she's super hot and popular right now, regardless of the idiocy that she's just displayed in the courtroom. But I mean, she's such a popular name that they have an opportunity.
Popular, good, but popular as in people like she has very high name recognition.
Infamous,
right now.
they would call it.
So it says users on Twitter are reporting about the Aquaman 2 test screenings, where one user in particular tweeted that they just got a confirmation that the latest test screening features Amber Heard from start to finish, with Mira's screen time in the flick around 20 to 25 minutes in length. Now, before, we've had several times where at one point they said it got cut back to less than 10 minutes.
Or entirely
cut out of the film. I never bought that one to begin with.
I didn't either.
But I could have seen them trying to limit her to less than 10 minutes. Now, the real question, my biggest question will be, how do they use her in marketing?
Because
that's going to be a big part of both her and Ezra Miller are going to have to worry about the marketing arm of these movies that they're in.
Like a press junket? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, people don't understand that actors are not paid for like how many minutes they're shown in the movie. They're paid for the actual hours that they worked. So
plus they work, usually salary, and plus like a lot of it's like they'll film dozens of scenes that never make it onto the screen. That's the editor really is the most like the last storyteller in the film. He's the one who kind of decides. Him and the director
like
work together.
Promotional photos and things like that.
Yeah.
What they should do for promotion is get a giant billboard with Amber in costume standing above like a slumped body that looks like Johnny Depp from behind.
Slightly, yeah.
Just like she finished him off like a villain or something.
We've been saying that.
Or looks like Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah,
we need Aquaman and Pirates of the Caribbean crossover.
They could do that, and Amber and Johnny would both make millions off of that. And so would the studio right now.
Right?
I'm telling you, man, they end up getting back together
Rum
in like 10
Diaries
years.
Part 2.
In like 10 years, they end up getting back together, and all of society's like, all that was for nothing.
Exactly.
All of that was for nothing.
Then you'll know it's a simulation.
Yep. We've had several incidences lately. We can't talk about the one yesterday, but we've had several where there's like things that keep happening where we're just like, this can't be real anymore. Like we have to be living in some type of altered,
some kind of
computer-generated simulation where everything is now at the whim of some dude who's just trolling us.
It's the electric universe.
It's got to be.
We're getting pranked right now.
It feels that way sometimes. Like too much is going on where I'm just like, that can't be real. This can't, even the Ezra Miller story, in a horrible way, I'm like, that can't be the real world. So
just a bunch of atoms spinning, man. Well, it's something not even smaller than that, really. I don't know.
So it says it was previously said that Amber Heard had only around 10 minutes of screen time. We got a super chat in there. There it goes. Thank you. It says the head of DC Films, Walter Hamada, did testify at the Johnny Depp trial that Amber Heard tested well with audiences from the first Aquaman movie. So it could be possible that Warner Brothers is testing the waters to see if including Heard will make the movie all the better, as certainly some fans are expecting to see the actress and the character. Now, the big thing here is, so she tested well with audiences, but did not have good chemistry with Jason Momoa, who's the star of the movie. So that kind of puts the studio in a weird conundrum, right? So the studio has their vision for what they want the movie to be, and she's not, for whatever reason, maybe it's her, maybe it's him, maybe it's a combination of the both of them, but they just don't seem to mesh well on screen. You're an actor. You understand that chemistry plays a large role in your ability to get a scene across, right? Especially when they're supposed to be intimate together.
Yeah, I think some mistakes that actors make is they want to come in and be the best and steal the show, but really your main goal as an actor is to make your co-stars look better. So you may even be invisible on the wall. No one even looks at you when the scene's going on, but if everyone else looks even more awesome because you're there, you're going to get hired again.
One of my favorite actors' name is Clark Peters. He was on The Wire. He had a really good role. He's one of those actors that, like, on The Wire, he was a main character. But in a lot of other things, he'll do long arcs where he's like a guest star. And he's one of those actors that whenever he's on screen, he elevates whoever he's performing with, because he has this almost, it's like a mixture of Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman-esque personality in the way he holds himself and carries himself, and he can kind of transform between roles, but he always elevates the dialogue. And he's one of those actors that can do both good guy and bad guy.
I bet it's because he's listening to the other person, because I think a lot of mistakes actors make is they'll be thinking about their next line as the other person's talking, and they're just waiting to speak, and then when they get done hearing the noise, they do their line, and that's maybe what Amber's doing. They say they have no chemistry. Maybe she wasn't listening to Jason, really taking in the things he was saying.
I could see that being the fact of, like, especially with young really like actors that are really in the prime of their career, and they're kind of feeling themselves a little bit too much, and it becomes less about the work and more about their place. And granted, she wasn't the star of that movie. I would actually expect that to happen more to the lead of the movie. But Jason Momoa just seems like such a good guy, Greg, that like he's like you can't imagine, and like even when
he wants everyone to like him. I don't know if he's a good person.
Even when him and Lisa Bonet broke up, they like both spoke really highly of each other. Like, we're breaking up.
I thought Game of Thrones was awesome in the beginning, and I think thinking back, I attributed a lot of it to Jason. He was so good as Khal Drogo. I mean, so good. That was just so. It was society shifting. It was like and shook the fabric of what people thought art was.
He's kind of very built for that type of role. Like
he's a specimen.
He's got that on-screen presence that works well. So he can actually overcome, like, say her dialogue isn't like she's not delivering lines the way they need her to, or she doesn't have the energy that he does. Maybe it's a little bit colder. He has so much screen presence it can kind of work past that. But what they're saying here is essentially that she tested well with audience despite chemistry issues with him. And I think the other big thing here is that they've got 9 months until the release of this movie, which can give the public a lot of time to cool on disliking her. I mean, I don't know how many people will, but I'm saying that like how we feel about it now will be very different than how the general public, not us.
I just think there might be an appeal in hate watching her.
And if it
comes out with her having more screen time, we're definitely watching it and reviewing it.
Yep. Oh no, we're going to see it.
Morbidly curious.
Yep.
Rogan made a pretty interesting comment about her, and he was like, I don't want any pain for this girl. I feel bad for her. I think she needs to go into the jungle and take a bunch of ayahuasca and then come back transformed and not a liar. Yeah. And I thought, wow, I wish I'd gotten out ahead on that one, Joe. I wish I'd been the first one that forgave her.
Well, maybe she did that already, and it made her into a liar.
I don't think ayahuasca works that way, but I don't know. I still haven't taken it yet. I've taken a small dose of it.
Can't work backwards. Like she started out really truthful. Like she was actually can't lie.
Ayahuasca did this to me.
And then now she's just like, I can't help it. I just lie about everything now.
Don't blame the DMT.
Don't blame. Yeah. So I maybe.
But acting is lying.
I mean, it is. I'm never.
I think they're all liars.
I'm never a huge fan of that argument where like you pretend for a living. I'm like, yes. That is true, but most actors, at least the more pretentious ones, is that acting is a search for truth, trying to find the truth of a character, right? And I do believe that the most diehard, committed actors believe that. Do I believe that most young actors these days believe that? No, probably not. But theater nerds are like that. They're very introspective and they're very and they have to be very they have to learn to be unguarded about themselves because you have to put all of yourselves out there in front of people, which is not a pleasant thing to do. So I think a part of it is that search for truth, but it's just most celebrities make it very hard to want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they actually believe that.
The studios will incentivize people to lie. Not necessarily. They'll incentivize people to admit the truth. Like that, when you go out as an actor on a press junket or something, they don't want you saying exactly what you think. If you have criticisms about the movie, they don't want you to mention it. They want you to lie and say it's great. And to sell tickets, so then it gets in the mind like I'm supposed to be lying. I'm supposed to be doing
all
this to enhance my career.
Yeah.
My favorite part is whenever you watch like a trailer for like a TV version of a trailer, not the ones that they put on the internet now, and it says like and it lists like a bunch of quotes from newspaper articles, and all it says is something like dazzling, and it's like from a line that says only dazzling shot in an awful movie, but they just clip dazzling and put it in there. Like it's like they can lie and they can stretch the truth and manipulate it to fit anything they want. It's not that they want you to lie; it's that they want you to focus on the good aspects. Even if there was 90 bad aspects to this movie and 10 good ones, we just need you to focus on the good ones because they're selling a product.
And they'll call it discretion, I think, and not lying.
Yeah.
Be discreet.
Plus, I mean, if you're the actor and you want, like, say it's really the director's fault or it's the studio's fault that this movie failed, you don't want to be the guy known as the guy who went out and ragged on your coworkers afterwards. I understand that. That's just survival of the fittest within the industry. They're not going to be the one who just goes out and be like, yeah, working with this guy was awful and making this movie was bull, and like they're just not going to want to do that because they want to make more movies. They want to make more money.
What I'm getting at is just that Amber Heard is a role. And people watched the trial for the same reasons that they're going to watch Aquaman 2 just because she's in it.
And somebody pointed out something really interesting the other day. They said nobody cares. Like Aquaman made almost $1 billion and nobody. I've seen it and I remember literally nothing of it other than seeing Jason Momoa and being like, that guy was born to play roles like this. I can't wait for his weird like post superhero career when he gets older and he has to play like. I guess not really. Dolph Lundgren still plays like big burly characters and stuff like that. So he was in Aquaman. So it's I guess I would love to see him try to do like less.
I see him as a gray-haired Poseidon.
Ooh, there you go. He could do that down the line when they make that movie again. I don't know if they'll ever actually.
Oh, they should do a movie where he's like a Tibetan Sherpa.
Yeah. Well,
gets separated from the pack and has to like.
He had a show on Netflix
that
nobody watched called Frontier. That also seemed like right up his alley because of his big scruff demeanor and everything. I never saw Frontier, but apparently that was like got a couple of seasons, but nobody really ever talked about it. But Aquaman doesn't really have much buzz. She has more buzz than Aquaman does, so it would be ridiculous to cut her out of the movie entirely.
People literally think that if you cut her out of the movie, she doesn't make money off of it.
No, she'll still get paid. She's like
likely people don't understand how this stuff works.
Yep. So also, I want to go down here, and it says, you want to read the super chat, the two super chats there, because there was one that I thought was very interesting.
Caper2X said, "I thought that Mera was meant to be evil in the comics."
Went evil in the comics. I don't know that for sure. I was not. Aquaman was not part of my pull list back in the day, but
it wasn't part of almost anyone's.
Well, it's because Aquaman in the comics is nowhere near as cool as Jason Momoa.
He has like an orange and green outfit from 1940s.
And he's like blonde and dorky looking. Yeah, he's
and he like dives out of the water.
Yeah,
always very weird to me.
Nobody actually thought he was cool. Like when somebody's like, Jason Momoa doesn't look like anything like Aquaman. I'm like, but who actually wants to look like Aquaman? That's not what they want. They don't want that. Yeah.
Hava Owen said, "This group of minds is something I can get behind. Time for another hit show, folks. Also, give Mary a break, guys. Come on, no simping."
Right.
Is that true? You want no simping, Mary?
No simping.
No simping. It's bad. All right. So it says the trial also saw Aquaman 2 spoilers revealed surrounding Mera, where it said that Mera appears at the beginning of the film and then returns at the end to wrap things up. From what I believe, they said that she gives birth at the end of it to like
on maternity leave.
So we'll see where that goes, but she's definitely not going to be written out of the movie. So we'll see. I would be interesting what the chat thought, because I'm guessing like there was a comment like I always have to like minimize the chat when I'm running the show, otherwise my ADHD kicks in and I start reading everything. And the first comment that came up just based on the title of this episode without us before we went live was like, "No, not Amber Heard. She's the villain."
Thank you.
So, I think that a lot of people are not huge fans of her, but will probably go see it anyway.
Amber Heard redemption arc, is
us
that one?
included?
I'm all for a redemption arc if she could.
No, nobody else wants that. That's just us.
I love redemption. I think that's one of the things that Hollywood and society right now is missing big time, is the concept of actually giving people a chance to redeem themselves.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in our position who have been against the idea of like, you can't just box everyone into one category. You can't just believe all women. You can't just believe all men. A lot of people who felt like that things have been against them for a long time are hard up for empathy and sympathy right now, because they've just been felt like it's been going against them for so long. And I get that, but I am a sucker for a good redemption arc for anyone. You just have to be willing to let yourself down a lot.
I feel like that's what they're going for with this new Dior ad
with
of Johnny Depp. But I can't watch it without being cynical.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just
Dior,
over the
I haven't
top.
seen it yet. Is it like him modeling?
Yeah, he was famously denied a deal with Dior. This was mentioned in the trial, and this was one of his claims of career damages from the op-ed. So now they just did a cologne ad with him. It was very. Should we show it?
I'm pulling it up.
Is
right
that
now.
like copywritten?
I think
I don't
as long
know.
as if it's from so here it is right here.
Yeah.
Well,
it's very over the top.
Oh, let me get the volume.
In the wilderness, fearless and human, Sauvage, the new elixir, Dior.
Available at Macy's.
Hopefully we don't get copyrighted for that. But
He didn't look puffy in that.
No. I don't know if that was
when
old.
was that recorded? I was wondering about that.
That's a good question.
Like
I
8
don't
years
know.
ago or something.
Maybe they released the one that they scrapped.
I don't know if it's like Johnny 10 years ago and Johnny today is like the alcoholism and the puffy face.
Yeah,
it's like
dude.
he doesn't look. I mean, I can't say he doesn't look good. He still looks like a good, I guess. I don't know.
He's
but
not like a model or anything. He never was.
Yeah, he looks like a lot of other people with that puffy face syndrome where like
Yep.
the cheeks are bigger than the eyes and the eyes look all
Yeah,
sunk
he's
back.
getting older, you know, like
And the
anything.
age.
It is what it
It's
is.
harder
I think
to
it's the
take care of
alcohol.
yourself as you're going.
For sure.
One thing I am very thankful for is that like as bad as it was for me in my 20s, getting like catching it early and getting clean before you're past that age where you can kind of get healthy again. Like that was that it would have been very bad later down the line.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I can't take Johnny Depp seriously in that thing either. But I am happy for him. I am happy that he's happy, given that he had all that stuff happen to him. So.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go on and let's talk about we're gonna do some rather depressing stuff here today as well, unfortunately. So it says, teen whose parents say Ezra Miller is grooming them responds in new video. This is my life. It says. So I think first we'll watch the video. Actually, first, do you want to give Ian a breakdown, and for anybody watching that isn't familiar with this case, what's going on here?
Yeah. So when Ezra Miller was 23 in 2016, he visited Standing Rock Reservation in North Dakota, and this is where he met Tokata Iron Eyes when she was 12 years old. And they struck up a conversation.
A friendship. The articles keep very
I don't know
pointed to
how a
quoting.
23-year-old man and a 12-year-old girl can have a friendship of any kind, but somehow this slipped past her parents, and she remained in communication with him for years after that. She
went to visit him.
She went
out
to
in
visit
London.
him when she was 14, visited the studio where Fantastic Beasts was filmed. He definitely played into the fact that she was already a fan. She allegedly was given marijuana, alcohol, and LSD during that trip.
And showed up with bruises. on her.
Then fast forward, she's dropped out of her school in Massachusetts. She's 18 now. She dropped out in December last year. She started living at his home in Vermont. When her parents went to retrieve her from that place, they saw that she didn't have car keys, bank card. She didn't have necessities of life to live independently at all. And they also saw bruises on her that they believed to be inflicted by Ezra Miller. There's a lot to it, but I won't get into the weeds, into all of the details. That's the story. And now they have filed for a protective order against
Which
him.
has been granted. So the judge granted this order of protection, but they can't actually find them to actually serve it.
Tokata is saying that he's innocent, that called him her comrade.
Keep saying comrade.
And is saying that she's disappointed in her parents and the press, and it's a deep betrayal that she's not allowed to live her life as an adult.
Now, there's two very important points here that really freak me out, and that's the changing of the name. She's now going by Gibson rather than
They're saying
Dakota.
that was a family nickname, and he has started calling her that.
Yes, but this is a very classic tactic from cults, is changing names in the meanings of words, and we already know that the changing of language in meanings of words is a very common practice in society right now.
Yeah, the parents also allege that he has decided for her that her identity is non-binary transgender.
Whereas she before said she was non-binary,
something else, like
gay,
queer.
So we're going to watch this video here. And I also want to point out that he took, basically she got rid of her phone. And he said that the reason for this was because it was for their safety. That is really, really creepy and alarming. I can already
I feel like
picture
this isn't being talked about enough.
No, it's not. Everybody, but the thing is, the only people that are going to talk about it are these blurb articles, and even the language is softened in some of these articles to make it not seem as bad as it is. And
additional context, the Flash movie hasn't come out yet, but they're trying to figure out how to release that in a PR sensitive way.
How are they going to do that?
He's been on a rampage of assault after assault,
destroying
on people.
Hawaii one woman at a time, literally beating up women in Hawaii.
There was a couple that had a restraining order on him. Just the list goes on.
Okay, so we're gonna watch this video here, guys. This was from Dakota. It's Iron Eyes, or it's from her Instagram page. And to me, it just looks like somebody who's being told to say this stuff, but I don't know if I'm reading into that, but here we'll go right here.
So. Hi guys. Hi folks. I've become aware that some people are saying that my statements were not written by me. I'd like to clarify that they are, in fact, directly from me. Nobody is controlling my Instagram account. I don't have a phone right now out of my own personal conviction. And honestly, it's really distressing that the narrative of the victim in question is not being granted any trust. I worked really hard to make really clear what was going on. And if the statements are too profoundly contrasting to whatever assumptions those of us have garnered and have chosen to carry, I'd like to say that it's nobody's business and that no one is owed a story or an outcome. This is my life. These are my decisions. And I'm disappointed in my parents and the press in every way. Thank you.
That didn't seem like the video of somebody who was actually saying their own words. First of all, her written words were far more eloquent. She sounds off here. And I want to point out that she's, in one sense, right. She is an adult. She's 18 years old now. She has the right to live her own life. I'm not.
But,
I don't. She should not be in trouble. He is the one who did who.
If you have kind of been in like the custody of someone who you've been communicating with since you were a prepubescent child, it doesn't matter that you're 18. You're still conditioned to believe that they're trustworthy.
Yep.
No matter what.
Yep.
It's kind of like and I'm not saying she's a criminal, but like a criminal that's doing the crime, and then when they get done and they feel like there's no evidence, then they can be like, hey, I'm totally innocent. I never, nothing. There's no proof anywhere of anything. But it's like, it's that almost like relief of like, now you can't catch me because whatever we were doing that was illegal is
well, I'm sure
under the
he
rug
feels
now.
that way. I'm sure he feels that way. Like
now he can be much more brazen.
Yeah, with his behavior.
Possessive behavior.
So it says, according to the parents, Chase, Iron Eyes, and Sarah Jumping Eagle, Miller began grooming their child at just 12 years old with what they described as an immediate and apparent liking, saying that he appeared benevolent and altruistic. The only thing missing here is the term male feminist, because that's not a label that works for him. But this is the same type of underhanded, seedy behavior that comes from people who come claiming to be there to help or to as if they're above everyone else in their altruistic goals. It's often a veneer for something far, far more insidious. It says now Sarah says that their child is basically brainwashed. The parents still refer to their child's birth name, but the teen said she now goes by the name Gibson per an email they sent to Rolling Stone last week, and we're going to get to that. It says just 2 days before the parents filed the court order, which happened on Tuesday, their teen posted on Instagram a rebuke of their allegations, and then she goes down and talks about how she believes the daughter is saying that her parents are the reason that she's that she was psychologically abused by her parents. And that they're the ones at fault for what's going on right now.
Which definitely seems like the narrative fed to you by someone who's trying to turn you against your own family.
Exactly. So I'm saying he's isolated her. He's gotten her away from the people that grew up caring about her. I do want to ask, the main thing that I seem to find from other people I saw covering this was people keep asking, where the hell were the parents when all this was going on?
For the past 6 years.
For the past 6 years. How did they let her go to London to spend time with him? Why is this just now, after she's finally reached the age of majority, why is it just now a thing? Why weren't you protecting her from him, or protecting your daughter from him long before?
I was just having a conversation with someone of Native American descent, and it's like immediate, like their parents are Native American, and or from I think they lived on the reservations and stuff. And the abuse in those communities is understated in our culture right now. They're kind of put onto these reservations and then left to their own devices. Alcoholism runs rampant, drug abuse, opiates. And I am not surprised at all that these parents, if she's claiming that her parents weren't around, I'm not surprised.
The parents they were all activists.
It's interesting because she's been basically like a child activist
met Greta Thunberg in 2019.
Environment conservation for this whole time. And I don't know the context of how she met Ezra, but like if she was mingling with big names, maybe that's why. And maybe that's why the parents wouldn't see it as a problem. But still, it is on its face ridiculous that you would let your minor child go alone to a different country to hang out with a celebrity who they're a fan of, who is 25 years old. Yeah,
you think like, well, we have no money, we have no upward mobility. This is a chance for our kid to become wealthy and to take our family to the next level. Also, the parents may just not have been around. Might have been drugged out.
That's what happened with Priscilla Presley. Not with Priscilla Presley, but like that the parents basically brokered the relationship between her and Elvis.
The parents wanted them to get married so that she would have financial security. And they facilitated this, even though she met Elvis when she was 14, and we covered this the other week, but it was obviously not a healthy relationship.
And I want to point out that she's saying that she's an adult and she has a right to her own body. She's absolutely right. It's Ezra Miller that should be in trouble right now. She is not the one committing the crimes here.
Make whatever conclusions you want about your relationship with Ezra Miller. People are just pointing out the objective facts, which even in your own side of the story are not okay.
Yep.
I get the vibe that she's definitely has some sort of mental trauma. The way she talks and says that sounded like
I thought she was on drugs. I thought that was drugs.
Or like a history of abuse, or like just not knowing who she is, comrade. Like, I don't know.
Yep. The parents filed in Standing Rock Sioux Tribal Court, according to TMZ, seeking a restraining order for Miller, who they said is on the run with her. I don't know if you can actually say that that's true, given that they're adults.
They've been traveling around together, and people have seen them in public and taken videos of them.
The outlet further reports that the judge granted the order and signed off on it, but as they can't locate Miller at this time, they've not been able to serve him. According to the parents, so then they just get into more about the history between the two of them. I just wonder how it got to this point. Like, I need to know, how the parents allowed her to travel to London
Priscilla Presley's parents in Germany shipped her off to the United States to go live with Elvis when she was 15.
Yep. In their post, so it says, however, when speaking to Rolling Stone, Gibson's parents claim that the former Standing Rock activist did not write the Instagram statement, that Miller asked Gibson to not carry around a phone for their safety and also has control over their personal belongings, including their ID and passport, and that Gibson does not own a personal phone. They also claim that Miller gave Gibson LSD and alcohol in January, which left Gibson with a days-long bad trip, and then led them to fly to South Dakota to pick up their child. Who was staying with Miller, and take them to a mental health hospital. Thank you. I was concerned about Gibson's safety. They're basically in a mini R. Kelly situation, Jumping Eagle says. It really reminds me of that, how they're isolating people, distancing them from their family and friends. Oliver Ignatius, the music producer who claimed to Rolling Stone that Miller stole music they worked on together, shared that he was extremely uncomfortable witnessing the relationship between Gibson and Miller. Ignatius said he believed at first that Miller was attempting to help Gibson's singing career. That's the guy. Remember we covered that. There was like that thing where he got belligerent with a guy who he made music with, and that was part of the whole thing in Florida in Hawaii, where they had the back and forth, and the cops got called. So this guy's saying that he witnessed this relationship, and still nothing happens. It's insane.
Yeah, because just people don't care, parents don't care, and this is something baked into the entertainment industry that people just do whatever they want and they get away with it.
And here's that artist, his quote. He says, "I really just had to conclude that their relationship had become totally inappropriate, and that's about as much as I can really say about it, to be honest," Ignatius said. I was extremely uncomfortable with a lot of other things that were going on around them and in their vicinity. He declined to comment further. Along with the claims surrounding their child, Jumping Eagle also claimed that Miller physically assaulted her during a May trip to Santa Monica to retrieve Gibson. So they're saying that he assaulted the mom when they came to get her. How is this still going on?
I mean, he's been assaulting a lot of people and getting away with it.
He keeps assaulting people.
Here's what's more interesting to me than how much screen time is Amber Heard going to get in Aquaman 2.
Yep.
Is Ezra Miller going to be in his own, star in his own movie?
I said I think they should scrap it.
After this?
I said I think they should scrap it. I'm not one to come to that lightly. If everyone's gotten paid, the studio needs to take the hit and dump it and take the however $100 million loss. Otherwise, it's like, how does this happen in an age we're in now where everybody's so worried about your perception and your image, and you say the wrong thing about someone, you use a cop calls Ezra Miller by the wrong pronoun and gets threatened with a hate crime, but somehow this is allowed to go on.
Thank you.
This is insane.
Yeah, it sounds like the parents were just condoning it by not confronting it for 6 years.
Was she lying to mom and dad and just saying then that's
how can you lie to your parents about where you are when you're 14 years old? You're across international waters and they have no idea. That's just neglect.
Our main goal is to get Gibson to safety and help them figure out what's going on with their mental health, Jumping Eagle said. Whatever they decide to do with their life, we just want them to live independently and make their own decisions in life. They can't really do that because of the abuse that is.
It's too little, too late.
It's too little, too late.
They're lucky they got the protection order granted in the first place.
You had 6 years. You had 6 years to do this with your daughter, and you didn't. And that's
right.
I'm angry at the parents too, but I also understand that they probably feel extremely helpless and horrified right now. But I don't know who else to be. I'm not mad at her. I believe she was psychologically abused. I'm sorry for calling her. I am.
I don't even know what to think about that because she literally met Ezra when she was 12, and you don't know if she made her own decisions about what she wants to be.
Yep.
That's that reservation lifestyle. I can't speak to it. I've never lived on a reservation, but I have heard horrible things about the degradation of those societies right now. And also, I'm mad at whoever suggested taking LSD and alcohol together. That's a horrible idea.
Yep.
One or the other, man.
And when she has an undeveloped brain, too.
There's some super chats in there. Let's go through those.
Hava Owen said, hold up, 23 and 12. Dude, that is a groomer. Her parents are enablers, and I don't think there is any defense behind it. He has a brainwashed hostage.
And the parents, like I said, most of the articles that I saw directed a lot of this anger, not just at Ezra, but at mom and dad for not working harder to, I hate to be, to play Monday morning quarterback, but to not work harder to prevent this from happening.
Mm-hmm. Hava Owens also said, I think this video kind of proves she didn't write that ransom note. They make it so... She posted some screenshots from her notes app on Instagram before we covered that, and it was basically saying the same thing.
Also, isn't it interesting? I made the point the other day. I said, it's very interesting to me how today, whether it's because of the ability to write in your phone, people who are clearly struggling have the ability to be articulate enough to cover for the fact that they're in a bad place.
You can craft that however you want.
Yeah, if they're getting drunk and there's abuse of some sort, she might be really happy one day and then the next day be like, oh, this is horrible, I want out, and he's screaming at her, so she texts some this is horrible, and then the next day she's like, oh, what have I done? I don't want to stop this. I'll have no money, I got to talk good about it. Or
exactly. They can write eloquently written speeches that, to post on your Instagram or whatever, but it's it still does not equal out to how they seem to be in their actual life. Like there was times when I was in the worst throes of my addiction, I could still write eloquently. I could still post things and seem coherent, but I was an absolute mess. So that's a problem. And it's something we have to learn to be able to read between the lines of like, it's not just about what you say, your behavior has to match it. Otherwise it means nothing. So there was some more.
He also said they make it so obvious as they continue to try to cover their tracks. Just sick.
Yep.
Taryn Jones said, PSA, no adult needs to have alone time with your child ever, period. Parents, please protect your kids, even from older kids. Is a sick world.
23 and 12. Like I said, even in that article, like I took real issue with the article refers to it as when she was a tween and he was in his early 20s.
Like, I get it
no,
if you have a short interaction with a fan and you like, they're, you know, it's a fan and a celebrity. There's already an imbalance there. You can interact.
They're the ones who talk about
like
power
that.
dynamics all the time.
But then why the private communication? It's just obvious. John Lee said, sorry, I was late to the show. Here's some money. Thanks.
You. We appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Did Waffle Sensei send one? He's saying, don't read my chat, Barry. It's for the last segment. I didn't see you sent one.
Oh, I don't know what you said. Oh, the Mark Hamill one?
Oh.
I think he means the Mark Hamill one.
I should not read that?
I think he's saying don't read it.
I guess not.
All right, then we won't read it. But we love you, Waffles.
Thank you, Waffles.
And the other quick thing to get into is like, what does this mean for the movie? Like you said, Armie Hammer just has allegations against him for like creepy text messages that he said. What's up?
I missed another one. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Hava Owen said, dude, I enjoy listening to Ian break down actors and their performances. He's coming from a genuine place. It's refreshing and entertaining.
I think that was the one for Amber Heard, not for... Because we were talking about acting in that
happily.
one. Perfect. Yeah. So it's I don't know what they're going to, like you said, what did they do on the press junket? It's also going to prove just how corrupt the media is when nobody mentions this. Like when they're on the, like when he does interviews and they're like, so how about that child you were having the inappropriate relationship with, which we know, you know, the audience knows, people watching know, will never get said out loud. No, none of those people will actually ask that question of Ezra Miller.
Was it Roman Polanski? Wasn't there some drama back in the 80s or 70s about him getting he's banned from the Oscars or something?
Yep. He's not allowed. I mean, it was like same thing happened to not Woody Harrelson, to
Woody Allen.
Yeah,
he married his niece, I think, or is that what it is? She was 12. I don't know the whole story or the numbers.
Hollywood, man. Like, I'm in this weird place now where it's like whenever they they talk about like Elvis, and we talk about how the effed up relationship he had with Priscilla Presley, and it bums me out because on one hand, you want those icons of Americana to stay intact because it's such a huge part of how our country developed its identity. But then you dig deeper and you realize what a mess everyone was and how awful so much of it was. Like, I get where the weirdos who want to tear everything down are coming from. So I'm always in like this place where I'm like, I love this country. I love how where we are now may not be the best, but we've had so much amazing stuff happen along the way. Moments in our culture, whether that's politics, sports, movies, entertainment, whatever it is that's helped us become who we are as a nation. Not just military might, not just like who we've elected. All these things. So a lot of people want to tear it down because they've been told that this place is evil. When what it is that amazing things have been done by people who are fallible.
Yeah, I would call it a cultural revolution. Like Mao in communist China tried to create a cultural revolution. He called it a cultural revolution, but it was just like a military failure of a revolution. Whereas the entertainment industry really is a global cultural revolution.
Yes, and so it breaks my heart as somebody who loves this country to see these people who I would always defend also turn out to be like, not defend them, but defend the art, defend the work, right? You don't have to like Elvis to acknowledge the impact his music had on American culture. Same thing with Michael Jackson, anybody else. So it's like this weird constant like ringing where it's like, you're like, man, that made such a difference in the world. And then you find out more about them and you're just always constantly let down, and it just breaks my heart. So.
Yeah, I'm thinking about Ezra, like what his mindset when he goes to Standing Rock, that's where he met her, Standing Rock.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, there must have been a moment where he's like, I can't get involved. Like, I shouldn't be hanging out with this girl, but this is a really good conversation. And then it's like, okay, I can have a conversation with a 12-year-old is like his mindset.
I don't think he ever. I don't have any faith in him that he had anything even close to that virtuous.
I don't know
of
how busted up he was
yeah.
mentally from as a kid, but then it like the sense of power of like invulnerability that these people get that starts to surround wealthy people that are reinforced by getting money for their whatever behavior they've chosen.
Yep.
It's so weird and dangerous and cult forming and things like that.
Yeah.
That's the scariest part of all that is the changing of the name, the not having a phone, like.
Well,
So
so they don't
that's
want to
like-
be tracked? Is that what it is? They don't want Google tracking their
I don't know
location?
if it's that.
I don't
or
think
if
he actually
it's just
believes that. I think
he
he just doesn't want.
He doesn't want her communicating with people
Exactly.
about what they're doing, where they are.
Yep. All right. You want to talk about Britney Spears' wedding?
Yes, I do.
She's very excited. She's very excited to talk about Britney Spears' wedding.
Now, I wouldn't have cared about her wedding that much if it had gone as planned, but
It did not.
It's Britney Spears.
Yep.
Nothing is going to go as planned, of course.
All right. So go ahead and tell everyone what happened.
All right. So, her ex-husband from her first marriage decided to crash the wedding venue before her festivities began.
Should we watch the video first?
Well, this is her second.
Sure.
This is her second marriage, right?
This is the first marriage.
Oh.
So she got married to Jason Alexander, is his name, when she was 22 in an impulsive Las Vegas wedding. They got it annulled like a couple days later, and it was like nothing ever happened.
Also, I'd like to let everyone know that Dane got very mad at me earlier when I said that Kevin Federline was just knockoff Chet Hanks. He said that they shouldn't even be put in the same sentence.
I don't know enough about Kevin Federline to say whether you're wrong
I don't.
or right.
I don't know. It just made sense at the
I don't
time.
know. If,
I could be totally
is that
wrong.
an insult to Kevin Federline or Chet Hanks?
An insult to Chet Hanks for sure.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That is
so,
not okay on Pop Culture Crisis.
especially when we stand hard for
We
Chet
stand
Hanks.
Chet.
All right. So let's play the video.
He did this on Instagram Live, by the way.
Yeah.
So first, he trespassed into her home. I have no idea how you just walk into someone's house, like willy-nilly. Anyone can do it. But he walked into her house calling out for her, searching for her in all of these different rooms, while security just kind of tepidly followed behind him.
These must be the same security guards that protect Dave Chappelle
Right.
and Chris Rock.
What is wrong with these people? And then when he didn't find her inside the house, he left the house and started wandering about outside and went into the tent where her wedding was going to occur later that night.
So we'll play this. By the way, he needs a better phone. He needs better phone. He's clearly.
He's he's out of sorts, clearly.
The phone is actually perfectly mirroring his personality right now.
Right. And his heavy breathing in the background. It's insane that like any random like homeless person can just walk into Britney Spears' house.
You think she'd have better security?
Right.
Hey, tell me the truth. Where's Brittany at?
Where's Britney at?
Brittany got to have a gun.
No,
Hey, Brittany. Get out, bro.
no, get out. You gotta leave.
Don't put your hands on
You
me.
gotta leave.
Don't put your hands
You have
on
to
me.
leave.
Please don't put your hands on me.
You have to leave.
Hey, where's Brittany at, bro? Jason Alexander.
Like someone's just gonna tell him.
I'm here to crash the wedding, bro. Fuck that. They're not... So here's the inside scoop, guys, of the bullshit wedding. Jason Alexander. What's up?
They're Britney fans, Jerry. They're not even
You love
human.
roses? Who are you? Michael. Michael, that's Michael, guys. It's Jason. First husband, here to crash it. No, my name's Jason Alexander. Brittany invited me here.
So maybe
Britney
he's
Spears invited
and
me here.
She didn't know he
She's
was
my
that.
first
He
wife,
was not
my only
invited.
wife. I'm her first husband. I'm here to crash the wedding because nobody's here but Sam. So where the fuck's the family and there's Kate right there.
Be cool if he watched Wedding Crashers
Hey!
before doing this.
Come here, Kate.
It's insane.
Looks
So
like they just confirmed if he was supposed to be there or not. And as soon as they heard, no, he's not, they threw him on the ground.
it was bold of him to be like, yeah, Brittany invited me.
Yeah.
Like,
Her
what do
own
you mean?
kids, her own kids didn't come. They said
I
they
know.
were happy
I saw
for
that
her, but that
her
they
sons
didn't come.
weren't there. I
Yeah.
don't know why. And then she obviously didn't invite her sister Jamie Lynn or her father because they were her conservatives. She invited her brother though, so
Yeah.
maybe she's on amicable terms with him instead.
She probably invited
I don't
Jason
know.
over like 8 years ago or whenever they were married.
He is strung out on something.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was.
He's got that Notebook vibe going. Like, he thinks he's Ryan Gosling. He's like, this is going to get her back.
Save the
this is
freaking day.
the most romantic moment.
He's picturing a song swelling in the background that's just not playing, and then he's getting very angry when the song doesn't swell and play in the background.
What I'm guessing is he thought that Las Vegas wedding was like gonna last, and then after 2 days she was like, all right, let's clean our hands of this.
It's the first I've heard of this guy.
Imagine being like that hung up on somebody that it's been like 8 years.
I don't know.
And you're like,
if you had been married to Britney Spears for 48 hours, I think you'd tell everyone about it.
Yeah, maybe, probably. Okay,
To be
probably.
fair.
To be fair, but I don't think I would break in it and then like ruin her wedding if she got married later.
But
I'd just sulk. I would just sulk and be upset.
Yeah, and he
draw pictures.
Yeah.
He also posted this. Maybe I'll send you the link to this. He posted a bizarre video on Instagram before he went live, where he was talking about LLCs and
Oh yeah, I saw that.
all of this random.
I think was that in the
I'm
page
gonna
6 one?
send you the link to it right now.
It wasn't in the page 6 one. Okay, we're doing this one on the fly, guys.
He was saying, "Follow the money." #freedom on this post earlier, like before he actually trespassed. And it's just, he seems like in his deranged mind, he's very alarmed by the fact that she hasn't invited certain members of her family, but he's not recognizing the reasons for that. And you would think he'd understand based on the fact that he was attending Free Britney rallies in 2020, why she wouldn't invite her father.
I think Free Britney was the last time before Justice for Johnny Depp. Free Britney was the last time our society was totally
I liked that
united
better.
around one thing. That was the last time we actually cared.
But now we're all second guessing it. Like, should she have been freed though?
Like,
Because now she's getting married to a 27-year-old
and posting really badly taken nudes
and
of herself,
spinning around
like,
in her house naked. So,
and she had the miscarriage, which is just really
and
heartbreaking.
that's another thing I'm thinking about. Like, she can't have anything pleasant
Thank
happen.
you.
She's a unique person, man. She's been through something not a lot of people have experienced in their life. What was she, like 19 when she started getting famous? Do you guys remember?
Earlier than that, I think, because she
Wow.
was a Disney.
Oh,
she
yeah,
was
that's
a,
right.
She was a Mickey Mouse
Yeah.
Club.
And she was so famous, like Michael Jackson level
Yeah,
famous.
I
Mary's
can't
actually
even imagine
about-
someone being that famous now.
I think Mary would. Like I would say, like Mary, like wouldn't have even been alive to understand like that level, because there's so many people now. It's like it's diluted, where it's like
Right.
a lot of people are just kind of famous.
A lot of
That
people
level-
think that they're the Britney Spears of 2022.
That
There's
level
nothing
of,
even close.
No, that level of fame is almost impossible to attain
Yeah,
now.
it was when the radio was still deciding who got famous.
Yep.
Now it's all up for grabs with the internet.
Yep. So is this one of those things where you think that she should have just stayed married? Like you were saying, Kanye and Kim should have stayed married. She should have just stayed married to Jason Alexander. Maybe he doesn't go nuts, and this ends up with.
I don't think there's any timeline where Jason Alexander doesn't go nuts. Wait, can you show his like deranged?
I can't find it. Won't.
I
let me
sent you the
I
link.
know it won't let me log into my Instagram.
Oh,
right now.
really?
Yeah. We
Okay.
have to find it in an article. But yeah. So yeah, they were
It's
married.
so
for,
bizarre. He's like, we're investigating everyone who's been associated with Britney in the last 20 years, and like, follow the money. They're just pumping these LLCs with money and then dumping it, and like, it's not legal. I don't know what he was even referring to with that. But he's clearly, got some ideas in his head.
This is Alexander saying this stuff?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also, like she said, like their lawyers want her to, like they want the cops to prosecute this Jason Alexander. I literally cannot think of Jason Alexander and not think of Seinfeld. I'm sorry. Like I'm picturing George.
so funny.
I'm picturing George Costanza running after Britney Spears, like in his like
And the character of George Costanza is based on Larry David, so it would be even better to see Larry David doing all this stuff.
Dude.
that would be incredible.
It's such a Larry David plotline too.
It is like he bumbles into the wedding.
Right,
Like,
like just accidentally trespassing into somebody's house and being like, "Where's Britney at?"
That is the most. That to me is the most Larry David way this could have gone. Is if he just bumbled in there. It's like he's walking like this, and he's like, it's like how the way he walks when he's.
I can't blame him for being suspicious of Sam Asghari, though. He said, "I'm here to crash the wedding because nobody's here but Sam," and that's who he was referring to. I understand, like, all of the people who have been in Britney's life for years have been trying to use her as a cash cow or manipulate her in some way. So
and here it says that he was armed with a knife.
He was.
Yes, it says he was armed with a knife.
That's crazy. You can see the security guard has a gun and he doesn't even try to use it.
Yep. Well, he had it raised, but down. He says he crashed the wedding and made his way inside Britney's L.A. home. The order states that Jason must stay at least 100.
Nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose at all. He's like if I can't marry Britney Spears, I'm not. Mandy Moore's not going to marry me. Christina Aguilera's not going to marry me. This is his only shot, and now he's lashing out at everybody.
This is so bizarre.
So what do you? How long? Okay, then let's say. Do you think they stay married, her and Asghari?
Gosh, I don't know.
He's 28.
He's 27.
27 or 28?
He turned 27 in March.
Okay. He's
very young.
You think they stay married? She's 40. She's what 12 years older than him?
It's interesting because although she's in her 40s now, she doesn't seem to have the maturity to match her age because of all of the trauma that she's gone through.
Yeah.
And the fact that she rose to fame at such a young age, it seems that she's kind of paused right there.
Yeah.
Even though now she is a mom and she's been through multiple marriages, her amount of life experience doesn't equate to her emotional state right now.
It does feel like we lost the with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. For the most part, people were united around justice for Johnny Depp. People were very united around Free Britney, and then even more so. And then after that happened, immediately the behavior kind of caused certain people to be like, maybe this wasn't the
I mean, her getting pregnant this early with this guy worried me just on its own. That news worried me, and then the fact that she has just gone through a miscarriage and now is kind of rushing into this wedding with him. I don't know. He could be he could be marrying her in good faith because they genuinely, feel connected to each other. But we can't know the details.
Yeah, marriage is a business contract purely. It might indicate love. You might try to indicate your love to someone by telling everyone that you're married publicly, but all it is a business contract. It's a money thing.
And she was already calling him her husband before they got married, just as a term of closeness.
Yeah, because I one day I was reading, we were covering something to do with her, and I she had a quote and she referred to him as her husband, and I stopped while I was reading. I'm like,
we got confused.
I'm like, I thought they weren't married yet.
I'm seeing on page 6 that Asghari is 28. Is that wrong? You were
28.
saying 27.
I thought he was 28.
I looked at an article today that said on March 4th he turned 27, but who knows?
So
he doesn't tell people personal information about himself. I don't see a Wikipedia page on him or anything, even though he's an actor. So maybe it would be on IMDb.
So it says Alexander has had. We're back to talking about George Costanza.
Yes.
So Jason Alexander has had numerous run-ins with the law over the years, including arrests for an airport security violation and stalking an unidentified woman in August and December of 2021, respectively. Despite the latest incident, Spears and Asghari are still set to tie the knot. They got it done with. So he's clearly Alexander's had his own history.
He's currently in custody, I think.
Yes.
His bail is at $22,000. They want to prosecute him to the full extent.
After stalking a woman 7 months ago and breaking and entering into her house. I don't know if you call it breaking and entering, but entering her house with a knife. Yeah, he better be. I hope he's in custody.
But somehow Ezra Miller's still walking around free.
Nothing makes sense.
It's the world we live. Like I said, it's a simulation. We're absolutely living in a simulation right now. I don't think anything's real anymore. Yeah. I would like to know in the chat if people want to put their way in. Is does the marriage last less than 5 years, more than 5 years? I'm gonna put it on 4 years exactly. That's when I think that it lasts for.
Oh, Britney.
I know it makes me
this guy
sad.
might turn 30 and rethink his whole life decision.
I would love to know if they've got a prenup. I'm sure he's got money. I think I read somewhere that he was a business. He's got a company or something like that. So let's see if we got.
He was born in Tehran. There's weirdly little known about his personal life or history.
Which is kind of cool. Good for him. He gets to be a man of mystery, even though he's married to Britney Spears. That can't be easy.
Yeah, they met, I think, on the set of one of her music videos. Anyway, Waffle Sensei said this was either a false flag for publicity or the first husband found those nudes of his ex online and some romance was rekindled. Yes, because those nudes were just so
Tastefully done.
tasteful and not disturbing at all.
If she's gonna take the nudes, she needs to hire like a professional photographer and lighter, like
or we
and
can
lighting
just
technician.
not put that on Instagram.
I'm just saying, like, if she wants to do that, like, you can do it, and people will be a lot less worried for your safety if it doesn't look like it was taken on like a Galaxy S4, and in a room with like literally no lighting. It just didn't look right. So, and then there was articles about saying like it's like a double standard. We're like, no, it just doesn't look like she's well because she's posting like 9 of them at a time, and there's no rhyme or reason to any of it. So very, very weird. So.
We've got some guesses. Less than 5, 3.5, won't last 2 years, 18 months. It's just going down.
Oh,
42 to 69 days.
That would be interesting if it went under like a year. That would be sad. I want it to at least last a year for her. Like,
gosh, I don't know.
Let's give her a year. All right, so we're gonna move on to Podluck, and I want to talk about something very specific, and that is review bombing in movies, which is a weird thing you'd think isn't relevant, but in the cultural landscape where movies are these weird kind of touchstones for what it means for our culture, we talk a lot about how we don't think movies are actually as woke as people think they are. They're just they're advertised that way a lot of the time. Like, the elements are there, but it's not nearly as bad as people think. But still, people latch on to these movies or TV shows and make them culturally important things in ways that they're actually not. And this is happening again with Miss Marvel, which I have literally no interest in seeing. I watched the first 15 minutes. Whenever they say, like, it's not made for you, this was very clearly not made
I don't know
me.
who this was made for.
It's bad enough where it's like it just doesn't
the
seem
people
like
who will shill for anything that's Marvel.
I watched one review that said it was like it wasn't that great, but it was all right. I watched another one where like Mr. H literally said it gave him cancer. And he's usually a very like middle of the road, but he's not usually one to give such a hyperbolic take. I just didn't get anything out of the 15 minutes I watched. Like I said, I'm a lot harsher on television shows than I am on movies. If they can't hook me in the first 10 to 15 minutes, I'm out.
Except for when it's Kenobi and you force yourself.
Well, that's because I'm being basically held hostage to
Right.
review it for the channel. So it's like I'll have to sign up for workman's comp one day once I actually go nuts.
That mental damage.
After reviewing. I don't know if if you've watched. Are you a Star Wars dude?
I am not a Star Wars fan anymore.
You're a Star Trek fan, but not
yeah, I like Next Generation. I don't normally fan for what would you call it, like genres or what's the word, like, for like Star Wars. I'm not a fan of I'm a fan of episode 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
I found everything else was absolute garbage. Yeah. Even the Clone Wars cartoon, so cheap with that girl Twi'lek trying to be the the guy who played Anakin Skywalker in episode 1, 2, and 3, absolute just junk. Just a total trash. Hayden Christensen and Jake, that kid, trashing the entire name of Star Wars. So I don't really follow franchises. I'm not a fan of franchises. Specific things I like.
Franchises have become like weirdly like team sports. Like you have to either like it or you don't, and then you're bad if you don't and whatnot.
I don't think Star Wars owns like a monopoly on the Force. I don't see why the Force can't exist in other genres, or the idea of magnetic manipulation of space.
Yep. So basically what it is here is like anytime something like this comes out, people leave negative reviews. And I want to point out that this happens both ways, and there's a funny media bias here, where if you're going to talk about like industry-approved stuff like Marvel is, you'll find that there's all sorts of articles that ended up being written about, like, they're review bombing our show. It's a bunch of alt-right Yahtzees, and they don't like Miss Marvel because she's a woman and because she's this and that, and they don't like this because
it's the same exact thing they were saying about Kenobi.
They don't like Kenobi because it's got a black woman in
right.
it. As if anybody gives a crap when Lando Calrissian's been around forever.
No one was saying that.
No one was saying that.
The hype is fake. The hate is fake. Everything's fake.
So basically what it is, and I found this funny bias where like I can look up, because I pulled up this article initially because this is new, and I started doing my research again into like, because there's been cases going back on this for ages. Rotten Tomatoes literally changed the way it does reviews to protect the movie Captain Marvel. Because of how much money they had invested in that movie doing well going into Avengers Endgame. And they weirdly simp for Brie Larson. It's weird. I don't get it. But the point here is
Dane
that
were here, he'd have a bone to pick with.
He would, because I find Brie Larson attractive. I'm sorry. So the point is, but then going the other way. Now this does happen going the other way, meaning that whenever a Dave Chappelle special comes out, it also gets a lot of review bombs in the negative. Except for we would tend to disagree with those reviews, right? So or with the people giving those reviews.
If reviews were real, I bet it would be mostly positive for Chappelle specials.
So the problem here is if you want to look up articles about Miss Marvel or properties like Miss Marvel getting review bombed, you have your pick of like 10,000 geek websites and the Times and all this stuff. But if you look up review bombing about stuff going the other way, the only thing you get is YouTube videos, because the only people who will talk about it are people who do like what we do here. They're the only ones who will give it time, because we don't run, like the closest we would be able to get is if somebody wrote that article for timcast.com. We wouldn't be able to see it because nobody in the mainstream will cover it going the other way, because they want to pretend like it's a phenomenon that only goes in one direction, and it's not. Both sides are weirdly committed to making these things into team sports. But it says, Miss Marvel is the latest MCU show to launch on Disney+, but despite overwhelmingly positive critic reviews, which nobody cares about because nobody actually trusts critics anymore, and critics tend to be the antithesis to what audiences want in general. The audience score on certain sites doesn't reflect this. The audience score on certain sites will always reflect differently from the critic score, because there is such a cultural divide between establishment mainstream critics of cinema and the arts and the people who review these things independently and have less of an agenda, or at least the people who will watch it with more of an objective eye. So that divide will always be there, but they're going to... Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think that puts us over. I think there will be a crisis party now any minute, if I am very much mistaken. I could be wrong. No, we're almost there. We're literally like 2 seconds away from a crisis party.
Thank you.
We called it.
There we go. So it says, the show has been praised for its welcome diversity in the MCU. That is not a reason to praise a show. The show should already be diverse. You should cast accordingly, cast the best person, cast a very diverse group of people. Quit talking about it.
So
it
hard
is not
for me to believe that anyone in real life.
There
cares.
it is.
Thank you.
And the speaker's here now, so it's much louder. Yep, there it is. It's very hard to continue. Do we continue? We're just going to continue. It's going to keep going off. That's fine. So it says, I don't actually buy that anybody actually cares when somebody says that it's diverse. The people that say
That's
that are...
not real life.
No, it's not. Nor is it a reason to like something.
Yeah.
Was it written well?
It indicates that they're not actually listening to the show if they're just looking at it from like the bird's eye view of like that show had a person of a color that's different than that show, so therefore that genre is now diverse. It feels very lame.
It's not a real criticism or up for the show. All it is just a general commentary on the hiring process, basically. Like in this show, like for instance, this show features Kamala Khan, which is famously not liked in the comics, but the character is Pakistani American. That could be a really interesting story, but it doesn't it's not enough to justify its existence. It also needs good directing. It needs good acting. It needs good production value. The writing needs to be tight and make sense. There is 1,000 things that make a show good. The general, the immutable characteristics of the character and the diversity of the cast are not a reason on their own to like something. At the very least, if you're going to mention those things, it should be the last thing mentioned on top of everything else making it good, if it is in fact that. But that doesn't seem to be what they believe is the truth here anymore. So it says, Disney has foregone the big-name talent that usually makes up the cast of an MCU movie or TV show, instead casting actors from diverse backgrounds. Again, cast the best person for the job. That's all people want. Twitter user Jessie Gender caused a stir online when she suggested that this focus on diversity and straying from Marvel's norm is what led to it becoming targeted online. Quote, Miss Marvel, which is great, is being review bombed in part because some people see her as a Muslim girl replacing white Carol Danvers. That's not what this is at all, so that's a misrepresentation of the character anyways. And nobody likes Carol Danvers anyways. The people who they think the people who they think would review bomb this because they think she's replacing Carol Danvers, the evil alt-right people that she thinks would do that, don't like Carol Danvers anyways. Why would they care? They would not.
Because they're misogynist.
Yes.
No.
So it says, not only is this racist white replacement nonsense, it's hypocritical given that all the harassment Brie Larson got. She's like disproving her own argument, right? Like in one sentence. It's perpetual racism and sexism, she said. Referring to the same backlash Larson received when she was cast as Captain Marvel because that movie was boring. That movie wasn't even bad. It was just really boring. But Brie Larson's really unpleasant personality made it what people turn on the movie, which is what happened there. So thank you.
Thanks.
So the point is,
there.
I looked up that, and I looked up all these other movies because the other reason I brought this up is because people are already questioning Jurassic World's Rotten Tomatoes rating. So I thought for a second that we were going to get like an article written about a generally more neutral movie also getting review bombed, but that's not even what this is. This ended up just being about what critics thought of the movie and what people were saying that they were criticizing that. So I was like, oh, I thought maybe I was there. I thought we were making some progress in the media here. We are not. So I have this list here, and this is an older article of 6 movies and stuff that got review bombed and what they say are the reasons for it, which is Eternals got review bombed for LGBTQ. I'm not sure if that one's on there. It might not be. But it says Eternals got review bombed for its LGBTQ characters. The Promise shows the dark side of review bombing. And then it says review bombing already shows a darker side of discourse. 2016's The Promise, Oscar Isaac and Christian Bale, had its story inextricably linked with the Armenian genocide, a crime against humanity committed during the First World War. And then they talk about Black Panther. That had a lot of, big news coming out before that came out. All of these are, thank you, all of these are industry-approved shows and movies that they're claiming got review bombed when really it's just people didn't like it or probably didn't like it. And it happens on both sides. Now, if you go and look up Dave Chappelle, the only thing you see no news articles that come up about it. It's all YouTube videos. Rotten Tomatoes are where we got this one article that says Rotten Tomatoes are the culture war's new battlefield. And that was the only other one that I was able to find. The rest of it was all about YouTubers claiming that, Chappelle got it was where this happened to him. And that's not even so much about review bombing. It's just saying that audiences and critics disagree, not necessarily that they left fake reviews. So I just can't imagine that this is going to keep going on, but it probably will.
Really, when I look at reviews these days, it's for Steam for video games because I play a lot more games and I like to be in control of my narrative.
Have you been playing? Did you play Last of Us?
Negative.
Okay, because they just released the first screenshots for the show that's being made based on the game. And it actually looks fairly accurate to the game.
So what I've been doing is instead of, I might glance at reviews and be like, oh, they have a 96% positive, they have a 74% positive, but I'll go to video game footage on YouTube and watch the gameplay footage. I don't need to read about what the game is like when I can watch the game and know without having to read. Same with movies. If I can watch a couple clips from the movie, I know almost immediately if it looks good. You hear the main actor give a few lines, and if it sounds like crap, if they don't believe what they're saying, and they're just phoning it in.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bother with it.
And I think that's just the way culture and society is going, that a lot less people are reading and a lot more people would rather have their entertainment done visually.
And also, it's the adherence to the past. People are very slow to change sometimes. Yep. Like the horde of human cattle are like just kind of do whatever they did 20 years ago because that's what they did.
A lot of journalists have like kind of refused to make the jump to YouTube, like where they write and they might be able to write really, really well, but that doesn't necessarily translate to being able to be visually interesting and put on a good performance that way. So I understand the dismissal, but then they get mad at YouTubers who do well because they found a way to kind of reach a new audience that they can't reach because the way they're talking about things just tends to be kind of antiquated.
This text thing, like another problem with text reviews is that the person behind the review is vacant. There's no one there. Like on a YouTube video, you see Jeremy Hamby talking about the thing he's criticizing, and it's him. And he's intrinsically linked to his criticism.
Yeah, there's almost more like it's almost more concrete. Like article, you just have to go on faith that they wrote it. But if it's actually them on camera, they're almost owning it more so than you would
until the age of deepfakes. But for now,
yeah. Well, we'll get there eventually. Speaking of reviews, I am going to just touch on this, that a website, a review platform called Letterboxd hid all the reviews for Matt Walsh's What Is a Woman. So that's you can't even read any of the reviews on there.
It's so much like YouTube removing dislikes.
Yep.
And that was the only way that people could express how they felt on a collective level. It's just underhanded.
Yep. Also, I want to just mention this. Fans bank on Sony's stupidity by petitioning for another Morbius re-release.
A third one. Let's go.
So what happened was Morbius did crappy in the theaters, and Jared Leto continues to underwhelm as anything superhero related. Some people will argue. I wasn't a fan of his Joker. Mary didn't really care whatever way about it. But he released Morbius. Nobody really cared. And then they had like this. People were like memeing on it really hard.
An extremely astroturfed meme campaign.
I don't think it was astroturfed. I think it was misread.
Or misread and astroturfed. Yeah. I think both.
Yeah.
Like it was making jokes at the expense of the movie, not in a way that was like, we loved this movie so much and we're gonna hype it up with memes.
Which Sony misread
as
like
Morbin time was making fun of them, not asking for more.
So Sony
I guess
misread
it's Morbin time again.
So what happened was Sony misread what that meme meant, because I asked a question. I said, can a corporate culture even really understand like memetics on a level that's effective, right? They can make memes, but can they really understand the democratization of internet culture in a way that they can benefit
It might
from?
be like a game of telephone where like the people whose job it is to be social media engaged for a release like this will be telling executives about, what they're observing, and then executives will just conclude whatever they want about that. And in this case, it was a success. But like, you would have seen that in the money then.
Yep. So basically, you would have, I guess, at the very least, you would have seen it do better on VOD or some type of aftermarket purchase of it. So it didn't do well, and now because they're making fun of the fact that when it re-released, it only made $85,000 in the theaters when they re-released it. Now the internet, which is undefeated as always, is trying again to prove that Sony is stupid by restarting the meme campaign to see if they will re-release it for a third time, which we know they won't. But it would be hilarious if Sony just did it for the meme, if they actually re-released it, knowing that it wasn't going to do well.
Was it good?
No.
It
was disjointed. It was extremely disjointed. We didn't even review it here. It was very hard to like. I would have usually I would have liked it because it would have been a callback to like 90. Like I'm a sucker for like the crappy superhero movies of like the early 2000s, like the Daredevil movie that nobody likes. I can sit through that and not throw up, whereas a lot of people probably can't.
Like Blade, did you see that? Wesley Snipes movie?
Blade is one of my favorite movies
great.
of all time.
Pure action.
That's the 90s. That's different. That was ahead of its time. And Wesley Snipes, as far as I'm concerned, is the only Blade. They're making a Blade show right now based on with Mahershala Ali. And as far as I'm concerned, they need to just dip into the multiverse. This is one of the only reasons to actually use the multiverse, is to go in there and bring Wesley Snipes back for the Blade TV series. That's what they need to do. He's also, as Andy would say, he's a tax hero. Because he...
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sovereign citizen.
Yeah, sovereign. He didn't pay... He's like, screw the IRS. And as if you needed another reason to love Wesley Snipes.
He's his own man.
Tax hero. He's his own hero. So... I don't know if we're going to watch the trailer for the menu. I'm just worried about it getting us copyright stuff.
I'm not so sure about it. But, I mean, we were going to touch on it just because it seems so bizarre. It's culinary horror.
Morbius?
No, it's called The Menu.
The Menu, it has Anya Taylor-Joy.
Ralph Fiennes.
Yes.
Or is it Fiennes? I can never remember if it's Phineas
Culinary
or Fiennes.
horror. Is this a genre?
Yep.
I guess it is now.
Did you ever watch the Hannibal TV series?
I did not, but I know Hannibal Lecter.
Yes,
from Silence of the Lambs. Yeah,
there's a Hannibal TV series starring Mads Mikkelsen that is absolutely incredible, and one of the main elements of that is that Hannibal Lecter is this incredible chef who makes all of these perfect culinary dishes. It's just that the meat is human meat.
Yeah, like Sweeney Todd.
Yeah. In fact, that's the thing. If I was to give you a recommendation for something to watch, like it's only 3 seasons. It's got, or it might be 4, but it's got Gillian Anderson comes in and plays Hannibal Lecter's therapist in the last 2 seasons. It's incredible. It's got Lawrence Fishburne. It's really, really good. So that's kind of in the same vein, though I think this is supposed to be more quirky.
I don't know whether it was supposed to be actually horror or just dark comedy based on the trailer. There was one moment where it was like trying to give a little levity in the trailer. We can't show it.
I don't know if we can show it without getting. Does anybody know? Like, I don't know if we can. I could play it and try to.
Know.
Oh my God.
You shouldn't be here tonight.
I love
You, my dear guests.
John
not
Leguizamo.
a common man. Isn't that right?
Is he gonna keep doing that?
What happens inside
I like how
this
that's supposed to be like a
room
jump
is
scare.
meaningless compared to what happens outside. We're but a frightened nanosecond. Nature is timeless.
What the hell is going on?
I love you all.
We love you too, Chef!
Any questions?
Is this bergamot I'm getting, Chef?
Yes, it is.
It could be good.
See, I'm here for it. I am here for the obscure.
I saw comments that were just like, I'll watch anything that has Anya Taylor-Joy in it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel, and I'm not even like a huge fan of hers.
I love John Leguizamo, and I don't know when the next John Wick movie's coming out, so maybe that's or maybe I hope he makes like an appearance in the Super Mario movie they're making right now.
I've heard that dogs can smell if you've eaten dog. I don't know. I've never really
Ew,
looked into if
what?
that's true or not for years after you eat the dog meat. So
No
this whole idea
way.
of oops, I accidentally ingested X kind of meat.
Is that
I don't
pretty
think that's what the
horrifying.
theme of this
What
is.
is the horror element? I don't.
It was the clap and then everybody jumps. That's what as close to horror as we got.
I guess it's just meant to keep you guessing.
But
know?
I am starved for like less
Get
conventional.
it? Starved.
That's funny.
I
Starved.
actually didn't.
Ha, ha,
No,
ha, ha.
I get it. That actually wasn't on purpose.
I know.
It'd be funny to find
it's
out-
funnier that way.
It
At
is
the
funny.
end of it, he's just like a really good chef, and he's
Yeah.
like,
What's the deal,
why is this
guys?
stuff
Why
not
don't you
working
like
out?
me?
So between this and the Winnie the Pooh Blood Honey movie that we're gonna
Blood and Honey
Blood
and
and
the
Honey,
menu.
where Winnie the Pooh
Put
is
it
a
on the
serial
menu,
killer,
yeah.
we're gonna put all of them
Right.
on the menu, and it's gonna make for a delicious couple of episodes. I think we can.
I think that the menu is going to strike a chord with people because of the way that diet has been shifting with the economy, with inflation. People like eat rice and beans, start cooking more. Like diets on the menu.
Yeah, they
you know,
can't
people are
afford
like,
Uber
What
Eats
can I
anymore.
buy? What can't I buy? Like everything's not as available as it always was. So people are thinking about what to eat these days.
And it's scary.
One of my biggest regrets is that there still hasn't been a horror movie, as far as I know, of like a mad pizza delivery guy who uses like a pizza cutter to.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Why that should have happened by now? Why hasn't that happened?
Is the era of slashers over?
Oh, that'd be so cool. Like it's just it has like a
Last
comically.
one I remember is Happy Death Day.
Okay, that's.
Did you see that
I
one?
didn't see it. Well, I mean, does
This
Halloween?
girl relives her birthday over and over again.
So it's like
until she can defeat the killer. Who's
I've never been a fan of like I'm not a Groundhog Day themed movie fan. Like the
I
repeat.
loved that for some reason. I like time travel. That might have something to do with it.
Yeah, like to me, like almost every great TV show ends up doing at least like if it's on for long enough, does at least one Groundhog Day type episode.
I thought Groundhog Day was good because Bill Murray. It wasn't even really the
Yeah.
plot. It was because Bill Murray.
But
That
even
was in my
like
opinion,
Edge
anyway.
of Tomorrow wasn't really my thing. I it was beautifully made and I thought it was good, but it's just like I don't. Thank you. I don't have it in me to watch those movies on repeat. There was a great episode of Blind Spot where Ashley Johnson's character, who's like the analyst for the FBI, has to keep reliving her day.
Yes, watching a repeat because the movie is already a repeat on repeat.
Yeah.
That's tough.
It's very hard to do. I was going to do the Amy Schumer one last, but after that, I just can't. That's not appetizing, so we're not doing that.
Yeah, I lost
Right.
my appetite.
We're not doing that. So, Ian,
Okay.
thank you so much
Oh,
for
thanks,
coming out
man.
today.
We've got
Yeah,
some
but-
super chats
Oh,
actually.
yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, we almost missed him.
Waffle Sensei said, speaking of Moses Ingram and fake hate bot campaigns, they just announced she's getting her own solo series. As Reva?
Oh
You were
God.
kidding.
Hire. What was the actress's name? DeWanda.
What was her name?
I'm gonna look it up. Okay, guys, if you aren't going to the movies this weekend, go. I think it's DeWanda Wise is her name. She's in Jurassic World Dominion as a character named Kayla, and she is everything that Moses Ingram is not in that show. Meaning, extremely charismatic, extremely captivating to watch. She can play smooth. She can play kind of how else would you describe her?
She's able to be intimidating, but not in a superficial, put on, try hard way.
Yeah,
like the current Reva.
And just very cool. Just had a very cool vibe. So
you know what I've been reminded is that I've been very cynical about the state of the industry, the entertainment industry, and that there's a lot of trash, there's a lot of noise, but you're reminding me that there really are good actors,
yes,
great movies, and you just kind of got to sift through it to find it.
The hardest part is like a lot of it's like you're literally like sifting through just a bunch of Marvel junk that you don't care about, like, and a bunch of like, as much as I like appreciated the comics, the DC comics growing up, I don't care as much about the movies anymore. And it's like, but that's where all the energy and all the money goes into advertising for that stuff. So you really have to go find the other stuff. And when you review it, like a lot of people, like, it's not going to get the numbers or the traffic that the other stuff gets. So you have to really just do it because it reminds you why you love the art form, and not just because it's what you do. Like, so like every so often you find that you see a movie that really reminds you that they still make good. Like, an example for me was the show Reacher. Like, the Jack Reacher TV series that came out this year is phenomenal, and it's a reminder that they can still do it when they want to. It just seems like Hollywood doesn't really want to anymore. So there's some more.
He just said just the thing we all needed. JM said Ian doesn't like prequels, but the memes though.
Not a fan of the prequels.
The Star Wars prequels? Yeah. I wasn't. I saw the first one, episode 1, in the theater. I was a huge fanboy. I don't know, 99, I think the year it was, 98 maybe it came out. And we went in, man, and we were sitting down, and the music kicks on. You're like, oh, it's goosebumps all in my body. All I'm thinking about is the Force. And then Jar Jar Binks appears, and I'm like watching it. And and I'm like, yay, like smiling and clapping at the end of the movie. I'm thinking, I'm supposed to like this. But I didn't in my soul. I didn't.
Yeah.
And it was like there was no villain. Darth Maul didn't have any lines. He had like one line. It was a missed opportunity to create a badass villain for the franchise, and there was no villain.
Yeah.
And then they mistakenly, for whatever, it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in movies. They created the prequel second and then made the villain Palpatine, but they made it as if you didn't know he was the Emperor.
Yeah.
And because they thought when kids in the future watch Star Wars, they're going to watch episode 1 first. That's not the way it works, dude. You watch the first movie that was made first.
Yeah.
And then you go back. So George Lucas completely blew that weird psyop trying to get me to believe that Palpatine wasn't evil. For like 2 movies, he made me sit through it thinking maybe this guy's not a villain, trying to get me to think maybe he's not a villain when I knew the whole time he was the Emperor.
Yeah, not the best way to do it narratively.
Oh, it was piss poor, and it was a gross misuse of the dude who played Qui-Gon Jinn,
Liam
Neeson, one of the greatest actors in the world.
Yep, absolutely.
And put him in there with a cartoon character grabbing his tongue. It was really disappointing, really disappointing. And anytime you have kid actors, you're going to be struggling to find a really good lead kid actor. And the guy, Jake, who played that was just like a kid with no acting experience. It was like, come on.
It's one of the hardest things to do.
I think they were playing off the like Luke, Leia, didn't have any. They were like unknowns when they did the first Star Wars, the episode 4. So they wanted to recreate that, having unknowns in there. But it was just Star Wars was a huge movie at that point. You really needed to plant and base the movie in some kind of quality.
The funny thing is, though, now people, given how bad the sequel trilogy was, people are like opining, like they're like, you know, that prequel trilogy wasn't all that bad because the sequel trilogy was so awful that it puts things into perspective a little bit.
Yeah, when things are so bad that when they used to be kind of bad, it was actually kind of good relatively. That's unfortunate.
That's basically Stockholm syndrome. Like, you're just like, it's not that bad. Like it's fine. We'll survive.
At least you admit it.
Yes.
Javi J said the alcoholism and abuse in the res is never talked about. Grow up with res kids, and Miller Iron Eyes is a prime example.
That is awful.
Yeah, it's something that needs to be talked about more, that's for sure, because I don't know enough about it, but I keep hearing about it.
Joseph said, can we stop talking about race? So tired.
I
hear you.
Like the problem is when they do this, when they cast Moses Ingram here, they know ahead of time that what they're going to do is any criticism you have of that character, meaning like, I don't think you acted this role very well. I don't think that your eyes look dead, but not in like an intimidating way. You look really bored when you're supposed to look very menacing. but then they know that they can get out in front of it and just blame everything on people being, alt-right Yahtzees. And you just call them that, and then you're suddenly free from, then they can play off any criticism as just people being bigoted when we all know that's not the case.
Yeah, we need, as actors, we need criticism. It's so important. It's the way they get better, and it's irrelevant of the way our skin is built. You got to be honest and have honest criticism and feedback from your director and your production team.
Which is, it does them a disservice, and it does you a disservice as a fan to, like, what if then the next thing you see her in, and she's great, and she owns the role, and she has all this charisma. Maybe she was just miscast in that first one, and thank you. And what you want is for that next time she acts, for her next performance, you want it to be great. And when it does turn out great, then you're like, oh man, she found her groove. She found her niche. This is the type of movie she needs to be in. Like, you want that for that person. But then when they try to make you out to be like you're evil just for, giving honest criticism, you're not going to want to be charitable with your words. You're going to feel affronted and like you've been abused by them. So why would you give them the benefit of the doubt?
Yes, when your negative feedback is appreciated, then your positive feedback will be more fluid and
Exactly.
also be appreciated.
Like you should, like, whenever people, like, there was a funny critique here on one of the episodes where somebody said like Brett, I just don't think Brett has it, and I love that criticism because I was like, it kind of took the onus off me. They're like, he seems like he's got the knowledge, but he just doesn't have it, like what it takes to do the show. I'm like, well, I can't help that, man. I was fine with that criticism. I would have been more worried if they said he doesn't know what he's talking about. That you can work on.
That was at Abe Simpson. We were talking about this last week on IRL. The Abe Simpson was like, I used to be with it. Then they changed what it was. Now I don't know what it is anymore. Or something like that.
Well, we'll have to figure out what. And Mary's
Bring
always
it back.
Mary's I'm the boomer here, so Mary's the one who has to tell me what.
Oh
it
yeah,
is.
we're 3 generations of. What are you, Gen Y?
I'm millennial.
You're millennial. I'm Gen X.
Yeah.
And you are
Z.
Z.
Yep, she's Gen
Holler
Z.
back.
So this is a multi-generational
That's
show,
the
ladies and
diversity
gentlemen.
we need here.
True diversity, diversity of age.
I love it.
Yes. John Lee said, "Looking good, Ian. See you on the night show."
Thanks, Holmes.
He's working overtime today.
I got a coffee with a little bit of peanut butter, some cream and coconut cream all blended together.
Perfect. There's a couple more.
Started.
K42X said, "I'm guessing that this is a cooking show a la Twilight's To Serve Man."
I don't know what that is. I've never seen that.
Serve Man. They're people. Is that the Soylent Green?
No.
They find that book that says To Serve Man. They think the aliens are here to serve man, and they're like, oh, okay. But then they find out they actually are here to serve man.
Yeah, I don't think that's up my alley.
Alert. That's an old story. I don't know if that's the story, though, that they're talking about.
Okay. All right.
St. Miles said, "Thanks for a great show."
Thank
Waffle
you, St. Miles.
Sensei said, "Prequels were good. Screw you guys. I'm not super chatting for like 10 more minutes now." Well, you don't have 10 more minutes, so
it's
guess
also,
that's goodbye.
It's interesting how like the first thing we see tends to be the thing that we resonate with, because I saw the 4, 5, and 6 first, and a lot. I saw many, many times, so that was. I could imagine if you saw episode 1, 2, and 3 first, that you'd get a lot of value out of it, especially when he cuts, Anakin in half when he's trying to jump over the fire. That part was sweet.
It's that's kind of what happens with a lot of people who are not like big James Bond fans. Whoever it was the Bond when they were a childhood is the Bond that they love the most.
GoldenEye was my favorite one.
Absolutely.
That's the first one I saw.
Pierce Brosnan as James Bond, as far as I'm concerned, is still the quintessential James Bond.
Yeah, but everyone tells me Sean Connery. Well, not all those people from that generation.
Yep. So, but I still say Pierce Brosnan.
Very interesting.
I also believe that The World Is Not Enough is a heavily underrated James Bond movie.
I haven't seen it.
And the concept behind Tomorrow Never Dies, which is literally about an evil media mogul who wants to predict the news by creating the news back in like 1999, was prophetic and ahead of its time.
That's that dude from Game of Thrones.
It's played by Jonathan Pryce.
That's him.
And just imagine him actually kind of, if you think about it, if you shaved his head, he'd kind of look like Bezos.
I know.
So that's even more terrifying.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's scary, man.
They called it.
All right, Ian, thank you so much.
Thanks, Brett.
That was a lot of fun. Let everyone know where they can find you.
You can find me at iancrossland.net. You can always find me Timcast IRL Monday through Friday, although I may be taking Mondays off in the upcoming weeks while Luke Rudkowski is back. And that's on Timcast IRL on YouTube. And but honestly, hit me up through iancrossland.net if you want to get in touch with me via social media. I'd love to see you.
Perfect. Mary, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram and WeChat at CloserKitty. And whenever I post articles on timcast.com, I promote them there.
Perfect. Guys, you can follow me on Instagram at Brett Dasovic. For the show, we are on YouTube here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. Grab a California burrito. Eat it on your lunch break. I will say that each and every time. If you want to listen to us, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, all those places. I don't know why you wouldn't want to watch all this craziness while it happens, but if listening is your way, that is the way to do it. On social media, we are on Twitter at popculture_show, Instagram at popculturecrisisPod, and then Facebook and TikTok. It will make Dane very happy if you follow us there. It's at popculturecrisis. We will be back with another episode on Monday. We'll see you then, guys. Bye.
Bye.